of 68 after dark.
What's up? Welcome to Field of 68 After Dark, presented by BetMGM. I'm Dalen Cuff, along with two Tar Heel greats, Justin Jackson, Tyler Hansbrough, and Rob Dauster, who was told to take off the Seattle Supersonics hat, but is still repping it. Look at you, you rebel.
It's a nice hat, man. Like, why do people got to hate? I like the hat. Long live the Sonics. I got a Hartford Whalers hat, too.
Ooh, that's good. I saw a guy with a Hartford Whalers hoodie the other day. I was like, that's nice. Yeah, that's good stuff.
Throwback, man.
What was not good today, if you're a Cardinals fan, was a 31-point drubbing you took to the hands of the Blue Devils. And we've got BYU falling at home. They are down 14 now with just under 5 minutes to play against an Arizona team that looks phenomenal. So we'll get to that game a little bit later once we are final there. But let's start with Duke. And Tyler, I'll let you take the first shot as the Blue Devils dismantled the Cardinals. What was your thought on the game?
My first initial thought was, I think Louisville really struggled against Duke's size. I think that Duke controlled everything interiorly. And I think two stats to me that really show that is Duke out-rebounded Louisville 26-47. And then they also outscored Louisville 10-42 in points in the paint. And I just think that the size in the front court for Duke posed a lot of problems for Louisville. And the other thing I will say is Mikal Brown Jr., I just don't think is in his rhythm right now. I think he's been out dealing with this injury, and I think it's going to take him some time, a few games, to get really back. And once he's back, I think we're going to see the Louisville that we all kind of anticipated before the season.
Yeah, Mikal Brown back in the lineup. Second game, he did play on Saturday, 20.6 assists. But to your point, Tyler, this is a different challenge against the Blue Devils. Justin, what did you make of it?
Yeah, I think to Tyler's point, the tough thing about being in and out of the lineups is you just don't really get a rhythm, right? Like you might have one good game and then you go against a Duke team that right now is playing unbelievable on both sides of the floor. And so and unfortunately for this Louisville team, if he's not at his best, then they're still just kind of mid-pack in my mind when it comes to the ACC. But also to Duke's credit, the way that they're playing defense and some of the adjustments that they've made over the last, really since ACC play started, probably after the first two games in ACC play, I think has completely changed the way that this Duke team looks. Like the way that they're able to scramble around, keep Cam Boozer kind of by the rim and not having to come out and guard as much as he was early on in the season and things like that. I think that's just a testament to the adjustments that they've made. But yeah, I think it's tough with Mikal Brown kind of being out of rhythm and you start to kind of force things and things like that. So, I think you got to tip your hat to the way that Duke took advantage of that tonight.
Yeah, I think that this was all about Duke, Dalen, more than anything else. It felt watching this game like you were watching. This might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but it was almost like watching a high major team play like a really good mid-major team in terms of the size differential, right? You look at what Duke's got across the board. They got 6'5" Caleb Foster, 6'6" Isaiah Evans, 6'8" Dame Sarr, 6'9" Cam Boozer, and 6'11" Pat Ngangba. And the only guy over 6'6" that Louisville has in their starting lineup is Sananda Fruit. And you could see that come to fruition in the paint and all the stats that Tyler threw at you earlier. And if you are going to beat this Duke team, you have to come with a certain level of physicality. And I don't think that Louisville has the bodies to be able to match it. So yeah, Mikal Brown's out of rhythm. And when he's out of rhythm, this Louisville team is limited offensively. That is all very much true. But this was Duke just kind of taking these guys behind the woodshed, man. Like this was a big boy performance from the Blue Devils. And I said this on Saturday and I said it last week, and I still believe that we are not rating this Duke team as good as they are. I do feel like we are still kind of underrating them nationally. When you got the National Player of the Year and you got other guys that are stepping up, Isaiah Evans has been better of late. Dame Sarr has turned into a really, really good kind of, I don't even want to say just a defensive presence out there. You got Pat Ngangba and Malik Brown that can give you different looks. I really, really like this Duke team. I'm really impressed with John Shire and kind of his ability to be malleable with the lineups and the rosters and the pieces that they have. This team is good enough to win a national championship. I know we're watching this Arizona team go into BYU and smack BYU right now, but Duke, what they've been able to do this season, if they don't blow a 17-point lead to Texas Tech and they're undefeated, I just think about what that conversation is that we're having right now, right? Like and I know that ifs, ands, or buts, whatever, but this Duke team is legit.
You said you got the National Player of the Year. Are you handing that to Boozer right now? That's a lock.
I think it's about as close to a lock as you can get. You know, nothing is guaranteed, but he's the nation's leading scorer on a top 5 team that's 19-1, and he plays for Duke.
Okay, I mean he's the betting favorite right now. It helps that the Blue Devils thing. And to your point, though, if they didn't lose to Texas Tech because of the brand that they are, and people either love them or hate them, they would be much more they'll be much more talked about than they have been right now. I think we are comparing them to last year's team, and last year's team honestly is the best team outside of the '91 UNLV team to not win a national championship. So if you're looking at that bar, I think maybe we're not looking at them the way we should be, which is a potentially great college basketball team that can win a national championship. My thought with Louisville, you guys mentioned Michael Brown. I think some of his immaturity showed as a freshman that's just coming back from injury. I mean, he was 1 for 13, 7 points. But early in that game, they started well. Conwell hit a 3. He hit his only shot. Like, they looked good, and then they fell in love with settling for jumpers. Like, Duke struggled to score for about 8 or 9 minutes that first half, whereas Louisville was almost like shot turnovers too. They weren't converting, but you're taking bad shots, and you're not playing and getting good offense, and then you play the way that way the rest of the game. Duke was not going to be as bad as they were for that 6 or 7 minute stretch, and Louisville didn't capitalize on it. And I think that was indicative of their problems throughout the second half. Justin, when you look at Louisville, I mean, I think Rob's comparison was apt from a size standpoint. Like, it was stark, the positional size that Duke has and what Louisville lacks. When you look at a healthy Louisville team, how do you feel about them relative to the Tar Heels, who look like, if they play the way they did the other day, maybe the second best team in this league? And nationally, because Louisville was a team people thought maybe able to contend for something on a pretty big national stage. How do you feel about that?
I just don't think, to Rob's point and to Tyler's stats that he gave us, I just don't think they have enough of a front line to really make a legitimate run. I think when you look at these teams, right, you look at Arizona and you look at the size they have, you look at Michigan, you look at a team like Duke that they just played against. Like, those are the teams that you're having to deal with. Heck, you look at a Florida that you might run into sometime down the line. Like, that's the size that you're going to have to go against almost every night in the tournament. And I just don't think Michael Brown can be unbelievable. But when it comes down to the paint, when it comes to the tournament, you've got to be able to control it. And if you're not able to, then that's where my confidence kind of gets, a little iffy. Now, with Michael Brown fully healthy, like you said, when they started the game off, like, you could tell it was a different feel to the team, right? Like, he was able to create for guys that maybe they weren't created for in the games that he wasn't on the floor. Guys looked like they were a little more confident. The energy was a little bit different. So if he's able to get back fully healthy and get into a rhythm, I think they're able to make some noise per se. But as far as really contending and making a run, I just don't think you can do that with your biggest player being, no offense to him, but being Frew. Like, I just don't think that's what that's not the recipe to kind of do that.
Tyler, what do you think?
Yeah, they're not a contender, and you can't lack size, and you cannot, have a contending team if you don't dominate the paint. And the one thing I will say, when I watched this Louisville game tonight, and I watched the game in Louisville, and the way they came out, the energy they had, the chemistry, everything, it almost looked like they're a better team the last time they played Duke at Louisville. And I know they're at home, but I didn't see that energy. Even though they lacked the size, they came out in Louisville to beat Duke that night. The energy and everything, I thought they could get it done tonight or get it done that night. But tonight, it just seems like I never believed that they were in this game. And you talked about it. When you're a jump shot dependent team and you rely on guys getting hot, I think that's a recipe that loses in the tournament. And when you come to the tournament, you're going to be playing on a neutral court. You're going to be playing on rims that you've not shot on. And guys are going to, have off nights, and you've got to have something that you rely on, whether that's rebounding or your defensive principles, just like Houston does. That's why they have so much tournament success, in my opinion. And I just don't see that Louisville has that this year. Now, Mikael Brown Jr. Early on, he was one of my favorite players to watch, and I was hoping that I could kind of see him grow as the season went on, but unfortunately he's been injured a little bit. And I just think that Louisville lacks the size in the paint to really make a deep tournament run.
What you got, Rob?
I agree. I think when you look at the blowout that we saw in Cameron tonight and the way that this game is playing out in the Marriott Center, I think the through line that you can draw between those two games is the level of physicality between the teams that won, right? You could tell with this Arizona team, there's not a single guy on that roster that's ever missed a day in the weight room, right? They just look big. They all got muscles. They fill out that jersey. You look at that Duke team, and they're big and they're strong, and they got some athletes like Dame Sarr and Malik Brown that are a little bit more slender, but they have the size and the athleticism advantage. Michigan is big and physical, especially across their front line. Michigan State is still cruising along here, and they're a top 5 team on KenPom now, and they're as big as physical as anybody. I think, to me, that's kind of the theme of this college basketball season. If you're going to have a chance to be able to make a run, you have to deal with some of those warriors down there in the paint. And Dalen, I don't know how many people listening to this will understand the reference, but when you watch the Premier League now, right, and you go and you look at the teams that are having success, it's not the kind of tiki-taka Pep Guardiola stuff that we used to see 10 years ago. Everybody's got big 6'3", 220-pound center backs, and it feels like they're playing 6 of them at one time. And you got to be able to win the physicality battle before you can actually go out there and find a way to be able to score. And I think that's what we're seeing in college basketball right now as well. And I think Duke in their game against Louisville tonight kind of epitomized that. You have to be able to handle the strength and physicality of the best teams if you want to be able to win.
Justin, Tyler, I don't know if you guys watch the Premier League, but that I think was a veiled shot at my squad, Arsenal, because they can't really score from open play. It's just a bunch of corner kicks right now and free kicks with these big bruisers coming in. So I like your veiled shot there, Dauster. That was really appreciated.
It's working. It's working
until Saturday, boys. That was a big loss to Man United, but that's for a different pod at a different time. You want me to
give me all the corner kicks and get us out of 15th place, and I'll be happy with it. All right.
That's right. Dauster's team is going to be playing in the championship next year, which is the second division in England. That's not good. Let's go back to the Duke thing, because you mentioned Michigan. They will play Michigan on February 21st, which is obviously huge game. And John did that last year, went out and played Illinois. That they throttled Illinois by like 40, but he tried to play a non-league game to give his guys a challenge. This is kind of a two-pronged question, and Tyler, I'll start with you. Obviously, they play Carolina twice. Outside of that, in the size of Carolina, it's something, but it's not necessarily what we're talking about with all these guys, but positional size are kind of across the board. But that said, you're playing your rival twice, like you always do. You're going to play Michigan. Last year, I think Duke suffered from not being tested enough. And when push came to shove in that Houston game and it got tight late, dudes looked different, whereas Houston just knew exactly how to finish that game and didn't. Do you think Duke's going to be challenged enough down the stretch to be ready to win 6-6 when you hit March and April?
I do. And this is a different ACC this year. You have us. I mean, Louisville can still, they're not the team that we thought. But when you look at Virginia's a team that a lot of people weren't expecting to be this good. But also you look at Duke's non-conference schedule to start the season. They scheduled hard. They don't duck anybody. I'm with Dauster on this. Even though they're, I'm not sure what they're ranked second or third or whatever, they're a top 3 team in the country. They're still flying under the radar. People aren't talking about Duke enough and what they're doing. Maybe it's just because it's Duke and we're just so used to watching Duke win over the past couple years. But they have size, and I've seen some growth from Cam Boozer as well. One thing, I was watching him tonight, I saw him do a deep seal where he caught the ball in the post and went right up, didn't allow the defense to come over, didn't allow a double team. And early on in the year, I was critical because I didn't think that he was going to be able to keep posting up in that mid post just because he's not the lengthiest guy and he's going to struggle shooting over length when it comes to conference play and these more athletic players. but he's really grown, and he's getting better position. And the one player who I said early on, who I think is going to be a big impact player for Duke, and I've always liked these big 7-footers that Duke tends to get, the Ngamba kid. I think he is a guy that is kind of, not talked about a lot, but he's one of those players for Duke that when it comes inside, he's going to make every shot difficult. He's going to make players adjust their shot just because his length. And he's crafty enough to where he can get buckets around the rim, and he has decent touch. I think he's a player that a lot of people aren't really talking about just because they have so many weapons for Duke this year. Evans can get hot, but, Duke is I'm not worried about Duke. Actually, I think that last year maybe we talked about Duke too much to the point where, maybe they felt like they were untouchable and they got a little happy come tournament time and they got surprised. This year, I think it's a totally different approach for Duke.
Yeah, I mean, it's as hard as it is to admit. Like, I'm not too worried because of how this team is constructed, right? Like, you saw a lot early on in the season, like teams would try to hunt Cam Boozer, right? And they would try to get him into a mismatch, make him guard, whether that's to make him tired on the other end, whatever. But now you look at some of the adjustments that they've made defensively, and then you really look at the pieces around him, right? Like, I'll even throw another name next to Ngagba is Malik Brown, right? Like, he's somebody that does literally everything and covers up so much for this team defensively. But then you also have Dame Sarr, who I think it was you, Rob, that had mentioned how he's coming on to be a legitimate defensive weapon for this team. You've got Caleb Foster, who's big. You've got Caden Boozer, who's 6'4" and figuring things out. You've got Isaiah Evans, who maybe he's not the best, most physical defender, but he's got length and athleticism, right? Like, it's built almost perfectly around Cam Boozer to where now when he's just playing at the level of these pick and rolls and he's able to stay connected to his guy and stay close to the rim, he's not having to guard on the perimeter. So he's not having to exert all this energy. So now he goes on offense and he can do whatever he wants. I think the only thing that nobody's really talking about, and I think that really hit them last year in the tournament, is the experience. Like, I think truly when it comes to NCAA tournament time, you can have an unbelievable team, but when you don't have the experience that maybe this team doesn't have necessarily, I think it can come back to bite you a little bit. But the way that this team is built, like, I wouldn't be surprised if they made a long run and was a contender to win the national championship.
Yeah, I hear you there. The only thing I'd push back on is Cam Boozer has won everything at every level that he has ever been on, right? He won EYBL 15s, 16s, and 17s. I think he won a state title every year that he was in high school. Like, this dude has literally never not won. And I think what we kind of saw last year with Duke was when they got into crunch time and on big possessions, they kind of settled, maybe settled is the wrong word, but they went to just kind of basic actions. And it was, we're going to try to find a way to get Cooper Flagg or Con Knipple isolated in a matchup that we like, that they can take advantage of. And it didn't work late. And I don't know if that was just youth coming out in kind of those different matchups or what it was, but I don't see that being an issue with Cam Boozer because I think that he's just a robot. I don't think that I don't know if he's part human or what he is, but I think he's just built to win. And I don't think this stuff bothers him. I don't think that he realizes the pressure that he's under. I don't think I've ever actually seen him show emotion. Have you ever seen him smile? Have you ever seen him get excited after making a shot? Have you ever seen him yell after a dunk? It's just always like stone-faced the entire time. He's the opposite. We called, when Tyler was in college, he was Psycho T, right? What is the opposite of that? Cam Boozer's like a serial killer. He just never shows emotion. I don't know if he feels emotion. He just goes out there and he wins. I don't think he's going to get bothered in the tournament.
Why would we equate him to Dahmer right now? What just happened here? We just called you've called in the same segment. You called him the National Player of the Year and a serial killer. That is interesting.
Yes.
Wow. Well, we'll find out the experience piece. I think Tyler, Justin, I think you made a good point with that though, because I do think I get it when you're saying Cam's a robot or a serial killer in your parlance, but he can't make you come to the ball. Like when they were getting pressed last year, you can't have everybody come to have the urgency to be like, I got to meet this pass. Like the littlest things become magnified on a whole different level, and everybody's got to do them. Otherwise, you lose in the margins when the whole country's watching. But we'll see. We'll find out. They're probably going to be in that position without a doubt. A team that's going to be contending for a national championship, as we discussed. We got to hit a break here. I was also an average host. SiriusXM folks, welcome back in. Great to be back on channel 84. So we're going to hit a break. We'll be back here on After Dark on SiriusXM and YouTube.
As you know by now, we have teamed up with BetMGM again this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we will have special offers for Field of 68 fans, including same-game parlays, best-in-class live betting, and daily odds boost. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD to get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. You download the BetMGM app, you sign up using bonus code FIELD, you deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use that bonus code FIELD when you sign up. Make this college basketball season one for the history books. Make it legendary. And don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD and get your $1,500 first bet offer today. If you're not a member of the Field of 68's On3 community, make sure to go check us out. Get access to all of Jeff Goodman and Rob Dauster's written content, including coaching carousel breakdowns, info on who is and isn't entering the transfer portal, insider recruiting information from none other than Joe Tipton, X's and O's analysis of all the teams in college basketball, and access to our message board community. A 7-day trial costs you $1. The Field of 68 On3. Get the scoop.
Welcome back into Field of 68 After Dark, presented by BetMGM. Great to be with you on SiriusXM channel 84 as well. Be there all season with you now as football is over, alongside Justin Jackson, Tyler Hansbrough, Rob Dauster. I'm Dalen Cuff. Guys, in the first segment, we were lauding Arizona for thrashing BYU. Well, we spoke a little too soon as we were talking to each other and some other people listening. It's gotten tighter there. It's a 6-point game with 35 seconds left. Arizona's struggling to close this thing out. They're reviewing this for possible upgrade to a flagrant one. When DeBonce, I guess, got fouled underneath. So this is still coming down to the end here before we, laud Arizona. What have you seen, Justin, in this game that stood out to you for the first 38 minutes, at least, where Arizona was controlling most of it?
Yeah, it's how deep of a team they have. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be people talking about, Rob mentioned it off air, like how AJ struggled this game and how these are the games he's got to step up and show he's number one. Well, they've got 4 or 5 guys that they just rotated on him all night long. And so when you've got guys that are that physical, that athletic, that versatile to be able to guard somebody like AJ, I mean, who can't you guard, right? So I think watching this team, I mean, you could talk about, how the size they have inside offensively, how they love to, post up. Obviously, that's close to home for 2 guys like me and Tyler. But when it comes to like tournament time, you've got to have, we've talked about it, you've got to have size. And you also have to have size that's versatile enough to guard all sorts of positions. And watching Arizona, like they've got 5-6 guys, it feels like they can go on the perimeter and guard whoever, while also going inside and dominate, on the boards and on the glass and things like that. So that's kind of what stood out to me, like you said, those first, we'll say 38 minutes of how they kind of dominated the game.
Justin, you don't think I can post somebody up? You don't think it's 6'2.5"? I'm really getting in there and just giving guys the business, mouse in the house style. Come on, man.
You can try. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure you're capable.
I've played some pretty bad pickup games in my day. I put some little kids on my back, no doubt about it.
There we go.
So AJ did make 2 free throws. He cut it to 4. Then he drove to the 10 here, missed a shot. So Arizona has controlled the ball. They got fouled. There's about 24 seconds left. It looks like they are going to hold on here. Tyler, what are your thoughts on if, in fact, they do that? I mean, the Marriott Center is a tough place to play. Obviously, the last couple of minutes has not been their best showing, but the first 36 was pretty damn good.
Yeah, and I'll say this. I thought Jaden Bradley played unbelievable in the first half. And if he's going to play like that, Arizona's going to be tough for anybody. I thought that was my first thought, is I thought he played unbelievable. And Arizona is big and physical, but we knew that. And they're very simple, and they don't take bad shots. So you're going to have to play a very disciplined game to beat them. But the one thing I'll say about BYU, and this is important, and I think this is this when we have a class of these freshmen that are so talented, and we have these guys who we know are just going to be one-year players, I think sometimes coaches are putting them in too much ISO situations and allowing the defense to load up on these guys and make it very difficult. Now, DeBonce's kind of come alive, and he's made it a game, but early on this was not a game, and everything that he shot was difficult. I didn't see many easy shots or easy buckets that whole first half. And when you have a player of his caliber, you're going to have to find ways to get him easy shots so he can get into his rhythm and not rely so much on ISOs. Because if you're posting them up at the mid post and you're allowing double teams, of course, every shot's going to be difficult because you're going to that guy in ISO setting. You're saying, hey, give me a bucket, which the defense knows they're going to load up on you. Or at the top of the key, it's the same situation. So I think you need to find ways to get him easier buckets. And also Saunders wasn't really providing much of a benefit in the first half. I think he kind of got it going in the second and hit some shots. But early on, he wasn't, really hitting those open threes and really making the defense spread out and guard him. But I think for me, I think just BYU put him in too many ISO sets. And against a team like Arizona that's going to play defense and they have these big athletic players, I think it's going to be too difficult for BYU to win those games if they're going to continue to do that.
Well, I will say this: Arizona's in full meltdown mode, guys, because they just turned it over down
are.
up one with 11.6 seconds left. Keita's been great the last two possessions, offensive rebounds. I think Tommy Lloyd just called a timeout now to set his defense as BYU is an OB under with 11.6 seconds left as they go to timeout. Dauster, take this anywhere you want because we may be talking about an Arizona loss that would be shocking given what we just said, how they performed in the course of the first 37 minutes. It would be shocking if they don't walk out of there with a win.
Yeah, I'll just say this before we get into what actually happens here, because I think this next 12.8 is going to determine a lot about what my take is off of this game, right? I'll say this about AJ. He finished with 24 points, 4 boards, and 5 assists thus far before we get to the final possession. But I think when you go back and you actually watch the film, this is going to be the kind of game where people will hold it up and say, see, this is why you want to take Darren Peterson or Cam Boozer or Caleb Wilson, whoever it is, as the number 1 pick, because there is an element of what he is so good at is, like Tyler said, when he gets to those kind of like mid-post ISOs, he's able to get to his spot in the paint. He gets to that jump stop. He throws 4, 5, 6, 7 pump fakes. Eventually you jump. His footwork is elite. He can draw a foul and get to the line. But there's a lot of he has to have the ball in his hands to be effective. And when he has some of these inefficient nights where he's driving and hoping to get fouled, where he's driving and hoping that the shot that he throws up is going to find a way to go in, where he's not really creating for anybody else unless it is directly leading to an assist. I think those are the kind of things that you can see from these performances tonight. And you got to weigh that with, I was in the Garden in the second half against Clemson when he had 22 points and 5 assists and led them back from 21 down to be able to go out and win that game. But I think when you're kind of trying to figure out who should be the number 1 pick in a draft that is as deep as this draft is, it's performances like this where you say, well, when he's not playing well, does AJ make other people around him better? And I don't know if that's necessarily the case. So we'll see what ends up happening here.
Yeah, they're throwing it deep. Are we going play-by-play right here now? Do I feel like McDonough?
Yeah, do it. Do it. Take us home, Dalen.
Rob Wright, spinning in the lane. Pivots. Blocked. No foul called. Foul in the corner. All right, 2.1 seconds left. That wasn't my best play-by-play I've ever done, by the way, boys. That was not very good. All right, looks like Arizona's going to hold on. Here's the one
That's
thing
why they put you in the analyst chair, Dalen. That's why they got you in the analyst chair.
Well, no, you got to be ready for it. You got to be in the feel of the game. I was like, first of all, I can't see. Look at my phone, guys. I'm on this with a like that's what I'm looking at. So I'm like, who's got the ball? Right. We're working on that. I'm like, what the hell's going on? So yes, it's not the best. It's hard to figure out. The one thing I'd push back on is like to hold up this game as a why or why not to take him first. I get your point. I hope this is more of a game for AJ to be look like, all right, well, this is a unique defense we just played. I haven't seen guys like this very often. All right, UConn didn't even have their Reed was hurt. You know, they weren't at full strength. Like, they didn't see a team with this defense or this size, or to Justin's point, this depth of guys they can throw at you. What did I learn from this? What have I learned from this game? What am I going to take away from this game that will help me the next time we're playing an elite level competition? Because, yeah, a lot of the stuff he normally does did not work. And you got worn down too with all these different guys thrown at you. As they go three-quarter court, it's over. So Arizona does win. They hold on. And with Arizona's side of things, like, I think they're going to learn from this too. Like, how do you almost give away game on the road right there? Like the missed free throws, the lack of press offense, the catching the ball in the coffin corner, you know, thinking you're going to get fouled when they're coming for a trap. Like, there are a lot of things to learn from this game. But ultimately, when I look at this win from Arizona, it is one of the more impressive ones in the season, because the Marriott Center is a tough place to play, man. And they made everything hard for AJ. They took Rob Wright basically out of the game. Saunders made a couple shots late, but overall, this was a pretty complete performance outside of the last 3 minutes, as we just said, which they all learned from. Are they the best team in the country, Tyler? The best team in the country?
The best team in the country right now, and I think, you know, I'm not really sure if saying they're the best team or have the highest ceiling. I think they have the highest floor, maybe. I think the way that they play is a very, like, everyone knows their role, and it's a very simple, effective style of basketball. They're not shooting bad shots, like I talked about. Now, Jaden Bradley's playing unbelievable. Koa Pete plays a very solid, very smart game, in my opinion. But I think they've really bought into what their identity is. Hey, we're a big physical team. We're going to take smart shots. We're not going to just hemorrhage threes like a lot of these other teams do. So I think right now their floor is much higher. Now, when I look at teams that, you know, they have like these Michigan that has this size and athleticism, they can get hot. I think those are the type of teams when it comes tournament time that I would be worried about running into. But right now, you would have to say, based off their record and what they've done, their body work, they're probably the best team right now.
I was texting with a coach tonight, Dalen, and he made an interesting point about this Arizona team that I actually agree with. They remind me of Florida from last year in the sense that they can beat you if you want to get ugly and play the battle in the paint, right? They can beat you on the glass. They can beat you on the boards. They can beat you in the post. They got big physical bodies to do that. They can beat you in transition where they can force turnovers and get outrun and get layups and get dunks that way. They have guards, especially with Burries and the step that he's kind of made here in the last 6 weeks or so. He had 29 tonight, and we've seen Jaden Bradley win games for him late. They can beat you with shot making on the perimeter. They can beat you defensively if they have to, if they want to turn it into a slugfest. Like, when you game plan for them, there's not really anything that you can take advantage of when it comes to this matchup. And I think that is kind of their superpower, right? Tyler, you're right. There's not one thing that they are just incredible at where you say, oh my gosh, like, I don't know how we were going to be able to stop this one specific thing. Like what BYU's got the three-headed monster, the superstars they got, right? Like, how are we going to stop all three of these guys at the same time? Whereas Arizona is just, you can't take advantage of any part of this matchup with them. And I think tonight, more than anything else, everyone's going to talk about Braden Burries. Everyone's going to talk about Jaden Bradley, rightfully so, because they were incredible tonight. But I thought Ivan Karchenkov showed a lot of what he can be on the defensive end and how good he is with some of the work that he did against Bonsa. I was just really critical of AJ about 3 minutes ago. But if you go back and look at a lot of those matchups and a lot of those possessions on who was guarding him, it was Karchenkov, who was one of the better defenders. I think he was in Germany before he came over to Arizona.
Bayern Munich guy, I believe.
Yeah, they are just, they're really, really well-rounded. There's so many different ways that they can beat you. And I mean, Justin, you can attest to this, man. There's not what they do is not complicated. It's like the Mark Few style of playing where it's like, all right, when we get the ball offensively, we're going to push it. We're going to try to get a seal in transition. If we don't, we're going to swing it. We're going to get a ball screen. You're going to try to score off that ball screen. You're going to try to get a little ducking. If you don't, you're going to swing it to the other side. And we're going to ball screen go in the other direction. And we're going to do the same thing over and over again. Tommy's not reinventing the wheel. It's pretty basic basketball. They're just really, really, really good at it.
Yeah, I mean, how many bad shots did we see from Arizona tonight? Like, you could probably count on one hand, if you saw.
And they all came in the last minute and 30 seconds.
Right? Like, so we can nitpick. I mean, they had 11 turnovers in the second half. Probably a lot of that came in the last whatever minutes. I do want to hit on the AJ thing because I was actually talking to somebody, and I've been a Darren Peterson guy all season long. I'm like, if I'm a GM, I'm taking Darren Peterson. Like, that's just. And if I am a GM, I'm probably still taking Darren Peterson. But the argument for AJ is even in a game like this where you struggled, he got to the free throw line 16 times. Mm-hmm. Like, he had Arizona's front line or whoever was guarding him in foul trouble by himself in the first half. So it's like when you have a guy that's that dynamic, right, and still struggling, like, to me, that's a sign of a superstar is, man, I'm having a rough night, but you know what? I'm going to get to this free throw line. Like, whatever it might look like, I'm getting to this free throw line. So that's kind of my take on AJ. Like, I can see the argument of how you can't pass up on a guy like him because 6'9", athletic, all that sort of stuff. But like the mentality to get to the free throw line as many times as he did tonight, even when he was struggling, I thought was really impressive. But to Arizona, like, I think the only way, they're not matchup dependent at all. But when it comes down to playing against a team like a Michigan, and I keep throwing them in there, but it's just because their front line is so massive, but like a Florida, right? Like, you're going to have to hit outside shots because you're not going to be able to dominate inside like they do basically everybody else. And so I think that's the only question mark for me is, are they consistent enough from the 3-point line for when it comes to those moments? Everybody else, I'm not worried about one bit because, to your point, Rob, like, there's not really a gap. Like, there's not a hole where you can be like, okay, you know what? Let's force these guys to their left and we'll have a good chance. Like, there's really nothing that you can do with this Arizona team unless they run into a team where they have to hit threes. And then it's like, okay, can they be consistent from the outside? But I mean, I'm with Tyler. I think right now you got to give Arizona the number one team in the country. I mean, obviously the undefeated record and things like that, but it's tough to see another team that really like has that complete, I would say, of a team like Arizona does right now in the season.
I mean, to your point, they shoot 27% of their shots from three. That's the third fewest in the country in terms of percentage of shots. And they shoot 35 in a half. So like, they shoot a decent percentage, but they're really, really good looks, and they're not that many of them. And that's when they take them. But if they have to take more than that, we've seen them struggle at different times. Tyler, I love the way you put it, is they probably have the highest floor. And we've seen the least variance from this team when you think about, obviously they're unbeaten, but from night one beating Florida, they've had the most consistent performances in terms of collective effort. But tonight, I think McCoy Pete had 10, Krivas 2, but affected so much in the post. Bradley and Burries combined for 55. Like, that's, you know, it can be different dudes on different nights, and not a lot of teams have that kind of depth offensively and defensively. I think their floor, to your point, Tyler, is super high. I wonder if their ceiling is as high as others when we get to March and you're playing somebody that has some of that like-minded size. And I think Florida's a good comp in there too. If those two guards play really well, then Florida can beat anybody in the country. If they don't, they can lose to anybody in the country. In Michigan, we talk about variance. Michigan should have lost to TCU. Michigan should have lost to Wake Forest. Like, Michigan, we've seen their warts already. Obviously, did lose to Wisconsin. We've seen their variance kind of go up and down, whereas Arizona's just kind of been good to great.
Yeah, when Michigan's at their best, nobody is beating them, right? Mm-hmm. But when Michigan's not at their best, they are in danger of getting picked off. Like, I think that they're significantly more likely to get knocked off in like the Sweet 16 than in Arizona would be. And I'm starting to come around on Arizona just being a buzzsaw, man. Like, I love those guards. You know, with Braden Burries playing the way that he's playing right now, all of a sudden you have two guys that can win a game for you in the backcourt. We've seen Jaden Bradley do it, right? He did it against, who was it at the start of the year? It was against Florida down the stretch. He did it against UCLA down the stretch. And I think UConn, right? Didn't he have a couple big buckets against UConn late? So we've seen him go out and win games for Arizona late in the game. And then when Braden's playing like this, he's been awesome for like the last 6 weeks, man. He really turned a corner here to the point where this might be a hot take, but he might be the best freshman on that Arizona roster that includes Koa Pete.
Man, way to end the segment with an over prediction, with a ridiculously over the top statement in my mind. Burries has found himself. He's gotten better, but Pete's a different type of a dude. But okay, let's have some more overreactions. Here we go. Overreactions coming back. We're gonna hit a break. When we come back. Is the best freshman actually the guy that put up 46 points for Illinois, and Keaton Wagler? That's discussed next here on Field of 68 After Dark.
As you know by now, we have teamed up with BetMGM again this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we will have special offers for Field of 68 fans, including same-game parlays, best-in-class live betting, and daily odds boost. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD to get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. You download the BetMGM app, you sign up using bonus code FIELD, you deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use that bonus code FIELD when you sign up. Make this college basketball season one for the history books. Make it legendary. And don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD and get your $1,500 first bet offer today.
Are you trying to follow everything happening in college basketball? It can be overwhelming. That's where the Field of 68 Daily comes into play. The Daily is your go-to source for recruiting news, game analysis, portal updates, and much, much more. For just $50 a year, you get access to the same information that your favorite coaching staff is subscribed to. Quality content can be hard to find in the college basketball space. The Daily is here to help. Make sure you subscribe today.
Welcome back to Field of 68 After Dark, presented by BetMGM. Good to be with you here on SiriusXM Channel 84, with you for the rest of the college basketball season. Rob Dauster, Tyler Hansbrough, Justin Jackson, myself, Dalen Cuff. Let's get to some overreactions. Dauster led us off well. The end of last segment, just fire one off. So he's got the wheel greased nicely. Let's start with Purdue. They have back-to-back losses, lose to UCLA. Boys, nothing I felt better about on Saturday than getting the lay-in 5.5 at home in Mackey. No Kylan Boswell. They're going to be fine. Well, they lose outright. Freaking boiler up. That was great. That felt real good. That was awesome. Wagler was insane. Went for 46. We'll come to him in a second. Dauster, I start with you. Overreaction or not? Will Purdue finish 5th in the Big Ten?
5th in the Big Ten is, man, that's a lot. That's a lot. The 5th in the Big Ten, it might be good enough to be top 10 in college basketball this year. But I don't think that they will. I think that they get right here in the next couple of games. They're at Indiana, at Maryland, then Oregon at home. Then you're at Nebraska, at Iowa. Yeah, they might. They might. The Big Ten's a buzzsaw, man. Yeah, you know what? I think that I'm going to say that is a proper reaction with the way that we've seen Purdue play. We haven't seen the defensive improvement maybe that we were necessarily expecting. And Trey Kaufman-Renn is not himself. I don't know what's going on there, but he has not looked like the guy that was a preseason All-American coming in the season. So I'll say it's a proper reaction. Purdue's finishing 5th in the Big Ten.
Okay, Tyler, what you got?
I agree with Dauster. The Big Ten's good this year. A lot of strong teams. They're going to be tested. I think Nebraska is a big surprise, who I picked to win the Big Ten and is a Final Four team, in my opinion. But they do have some players. Fletcher Lawyer, to me, has kind of been a little bit inconsistent and sporadic. Trey Kaufman-Renn's not playing like he should be. I thought they peaked a little bit early. But they're going through some growing pains, and they're not the team that I thought they would be for sure. So that is not an overreaction.
3 for 3, Justin?
I really would, but I got to be the opposite. Just looking at their schedule compared to the other guys that are in front of them, their schedule, Obviously, you go to Nebraska, you got to play Michigan again, and then you play Michigan State at home. Michigan and Michigan State at home. I think they have the possibility of getting to 3 or 4. Would I be surprised if they are at 5? No. I think they have a lot of question marks when it comes to the other guys around Braden Smith. But as far as the schedule goes, I think if they figure it out, they go into Indiana and they get a win and kind of get that energy and the confidence back, I think they could I think they could tighten it up a little bit and maybe get to 3 or 4. But I wouldn't be surprised if they're at 5.
Their defensive issues were on full display. Like when they started switching, Wagler was just cooking guys, and they weren't switching, and they got miscommunicated a couple times, throwbacks wide open like that. And that was one game, but that is indicative of some of the problems they have defending some guys that can really go off the bounce, especially if they have a stretch 5 on the other team. So I think ultimately, though, Illinois without Kylan Boswell, they've been great. They've been good. They won 9 straight or something like that. I think Purdue finishes 4th or higher, probably 4th. So I'm going to go the opposite there too. So I guess we're going 2-2 there. All right, let's go to the next one. Here's your overreaction, and Dauster, you're going to start here too. Then Keaton Wagler is the best freshman in the country. Went for 46.
If you dumb the season down to just those 40 minutes in Mackey Arena, then yes, he is. I think that there's a number of freshmen. I mean, look, the guy that I already called the National Player of the Year is a freshman. All right, we'll put it at that.
You mean the serial killer? For those that weren't on here earlier, the serial killer. You want to re-explain?
Serial killer Cam Boozer is the National Player of the Year, and he's also a freshman. I will say this about Keaton Wagler, though. He's my favorite story in the sport because you don't see hidden gems anymore. You don't see guys come out of nowhere that are I think his offers were Illinois, Minnesota, and Colorado State were what he had as offers, and Illinois came in very late, turned into potential top 10 picks. And I think he is legitimately a potential top 10 pick. You know, these 6'6" shooters that can handle the ball and operate in ball screens and be second side initiators in the NBA are about as valuable as you can find. And I think that that's what Keaton Wagler is. And I would not be shocked to see it. Like if he ended up being a top 10 pick, would anybody be surprised at this point? He's averaging 17, 5, and 4 and shooting like 43% from 3. So he's my favorite story. You don't find, I think the last hidden gem like this, T.O. said this today, the last hidden gem we saw like this was Otto Porter, who kind of came out of nowhere from Sykesville, Missouri. And he was even like a top 30 guy, I think, in his high school class. But no, he's not the best freshman in America. That is that is an that is a Dagan Hughes overreaction right there.
Justin, would you like to be a prisoner of the moment? I was Jeff.
I can't. Okay. I can't be prisoner of the moment, but I'll give him his credit though. I mean, what he did off of 17 field goals, like you go for 46 on 17 field goals, like that's some bona fide superstar. Top 10, Rob, you are coming with just some like hey, I'm here type takes, huh? But I love him. I love the way that he plays, the way he's able to play off the bounce, off the ball. 6'6", like that's everybody's looking in the NBA for guys that are bigger, taller, versatile, while also being able to handle the ball. But no, I cannot give him. Can't give him best freshman in the country.
Tyler, you want to take the bait?
Nope. Best performance, certainly. I will put him here. I'll do you a favor. He's going to be my first team all freshman. I'm going to have him in there. Cam Boozer's better. Darius Cuff better. AJ Debonsa better. Caleb Wilson better. And then we're going to go to Wagler. So he'll make my first team all freshman. But
ooh, you got him over Peterson.
Yeah, Peterson. I mean, he's been injured most of the year. You have to play a significant amount of games to make my all freshman team. But
to make the all-star team, huh? I love that.
Yeah. So I'll just say best performance out of all those guys for sure.
Okay. I'm going to simply say no, he's not the best freshman in the country, but one hell of a performance on Saturday. I hope we see another one. Okay. The SEC, Florida looked like may have been the class of the league. They get knocked off the other day at home. You got Alabama's been up and down. You got SEC kind of all over the map here. So here's the Overreaction for today, Tyler, we'll start with you. The SEC will have no teams in the Elite Eight.
That's an overreaction. Arkansas, to me, is a sleeper team to actually win the whole thing. Florida could win the whole thing. Alabama could win the whole thing. And Texas A&M possibly could win the whole thing. So I've just listed a few contenders there for you.
The whole thing?
The whole thing. The whole thing. So
the whole thing.
10 toes down.
Overreaction.
Love it. All right, Dauster, go ahead. You rebut.
I think Texas A&M winning the whole thing is an overreaction, but I agree with Tyler. One of Florida, Arkansas, or Alabama will be in the Elite Eight. I feel very confident saying that because of the ceiling of all three of those teams. All three of them won't, but I think one of those three will be there. Once Alabama gets healthy, and you could put out a lineup of LeBaron Filan, Aiden Holloway, Amari Allen, and Charles Bediako with Houston Millett out there. Like that's as good as you're going to find in college basketball when you got that kind of rim protection. So, I'm one of those teams is going to make the Elite Eight. I feel very confident saying that. So I'll go with overreaction.
You did throw Bediako just in the lineup, though. Bear in mind, there is a hearing tomorrow, and apparently the judge has that now. The NCAA is filing for the judge to recuse himself because the judge is an Alabama donor. So bear in mind, he may not be on the floor. But I digress.
Hey, have you ever seen My Cousin Vinny? I know how the courts work down there. My Cousin Vinny was a documentary. I know how the courts work in Alabama. All right, okay. That was a documentary. I've seen it.
Okay, you have. And my biological clock is ticking like this. What a film! What a film! All right, Justin, go ahead, man. What you got?
Yeah, 0. I think is that's a stretch. Now I will say I don't know if there's as many teams, in my opinion, when you look at. Shout out to the Field of 68 bracket. When you look at the way that these teams are matched up, in my opinion, and there was some foreshadowing early in the show, in my opinion, Florida has the best chance of making it to the Elite Eight and further on. Like you look at if Duke is the number 1 team in their bracket, right, and the number 2 team is an Illinois team. I like Florida if those guards come to play. Now you look at other situations, Alabama being in Houston and UConn's bracket. I don't like that. Arkansas maybe, but being in Michigan and Iowa State's bracket, like when you look at some of these brackets, if they start to kind of turn out the way that these brackets are looking, I think Florida has the best chance. But 0, I don't see 0 SEC teams making it to the Elite Eight.
And Justin's alluding to the bracket fielding the 68, first bracket of the year, out every Monday and Friday, 5:00 Eastern. You can check that up on YouTube. I'm right there with you. I think 0 is too harsh. Now, it's not last year. We have 3 Final Four teams and 14 teams in the tournament. That's not it. But there are a couple teams that, without a doubt, can get there. So it's a little premature to say we're out. This one we had to get to with 2 Tar Heels on here. So, Justin, I'm going to go right back to you. North Carolina, big win on the road against UVA, 6.5-point underdogs in that game. Come back down 16 in the first half, win the game going away against UVA. Is UNC back to being the second best team in the ACC?
I guess I'll answer that with a question. Are we talking about finishing second in the ACC or the second just best team in the ACC?
It's a good clarification. I think they're the second best team. When you look at the end, that is the team we think is the second best team in the league.
Then yes, I think they are. I think with Derek Dixon coming on the way that he's coming on, I think that gives them somebody at the point guard position now, which was kind of the question mark early on in the season. Obviously, you can talk about Caleb Wilson and Henry Vasar on the inside, like the way that they play, but Derek Dixon playing the way that he is playing completely changes everything, because now it gives Seth Trimble the ability to play how he likes to play and things like that. So I'll say the second best team in the ACC.
Tyler?
Yeah, I do. And I think they showed a lot at Virginia. And the reason I say that is because they got down and they didn't give up. They didn't go stale. Their defense is an issue, but it seems like they're addressing that and improving. And Derek Dixon, the freshman, even though he's shown some flashes, he's kind of had some lulls as well. But it looks like he's starting to become more consistent and a guy that we can rely in that point guard position a little bit.
Yeah, he was great. Rob, what you got?
Back like they never left, Dalen. Back like they never left. I'm all in on the heels.
All right, he's all in on the heels. If they look like they did the final 21 and a half minutes of Saturday, yeah, I'm right there with you because those dudes at Dixon was outstanding. All right, we got 2 minutes we still left here. Let's get to the toasts. Tyler, fire us away. What do you got? What's your toast of the night?
It's going to go to Arizona, Jaden Bradley, who had an amazing first half. Really enjoyed watching that game. Hooped. Got my toast.
Oh, there you go.
All right. Rob, I don't know what the hell you're drinking. Looks like, I don't know what that is.
It's called a Cloud Walker. It's a Cloud Walker grapefruit IPA. My wife bought it for me when we got snowed in, and she said, you might like this. Spoiler alert, I do. My wife knows me. My toast is going to go to Alfred Worrell Jr. from Morgan State. He had 33 tonight, a career high, and hit the game winner as the Bears knocked off Norfolk State in a game that actually happened down there in Virginia. I didn't think that they were still playing basketball down there with this with Winter Storm Firm, but it happened. They played, and Alfred Worrell Jr. 33 points in a game winner tonight.
Oh, let's go. We got 1 minute. Justin, take us home.
Well, T-Hands, I got to clear it with you, man. Is it crazy if I do a toast to the Duke Blue Devils? You tell me, man.
Oh, I've done it before.
It looks like it felt good. It felt like you enjoyed that.
I got to give a toast to Duke's front line tonight. Points in the paint, 42-10 is absolutely insane. So I'll give all of them. I don't want to give one particular player. I'll give all of them a toast for tonight.
Wow. All right. Look at you looking at the Blue Devils. I was going to throw mine in there, but Jaden Bradley has to be it. That dude, 17 in the second half. Mm-hmm. I feel like when they need that guy, especially on the road, he's better on the road than he is at home. He's fantastic. All right, keep it locked with us for the afters here. You get that on any social channel, YouTube, Twitter, whatnot. SiriusXM, Channel 84. We'll be back tomorrow night, more with After Dark. For Justin, for Rob, for Tyler, I'm Dalen. We out. Check us in the afters here in just a few minutes.
These my DJ Burns shades I had for. That was like taking them into the depths of Alaska and just dropping them off.
The first person that's gonna die has got to be one of the black guys. We're not gonna make it to the end of the movie.
That's like asking somebody, do they want to get a prostate exam or a damn gunshot wound?
All right, welcome back into Field of 68. And the afters here, Justin Jackson, Tyler Hansbrough, Rob Dauster, myself, Dalen Cuff. What do we got, boys?
All right, fellas. We're going to hit the afters. Get your questions in. But while we wait for those to filter in, we're going to talk preview for tomorrow. Our guy Samuel is back in the chat. He gave us $20 super chat. He wants us to talk Nebraska-Michigan. So we're going to talk Nebraska-Michigan for Samuel.
All right. Dauster, you want to lead us off?
I'm really excited about this matchup because I think that it's going to be something where we learn a lot about both of these teams, right? And I think specifically Nebraska, because this is the kind of, the one question I have with them is, do they have the kind of guy that can go out and win you a game one-on-one when you play a team that's going to take away what you want to be able to do? And what Michigan does with the way that they switch and the way they can switch 1 through 4, they can switch 1 through 5 if they need to when they have Morris Johnson out there. And it kind of blows up the stuff that you run and the actions that you run. And a lot of what Nebraska, what makes them so good offensively is the stuff that the shots that they can create out of their sets. And I think that we're going to get a real sense of whether or not they have guys that can go out and win them a possession or win a mismatch for 40 minutes and find a way to be able to win a game. I think, what'd you say the line was, Justin? It's 10.5 now, right? Nebraska's catching 10. Yeah, give me Nebraska and 10.5 points because of how good they are defensively. I don't know if they can go into Ann Arbor and win, but I think that they make this a game. I think that they keep it close, and I think that we learn a lot about the pieces on. We know how good this group is as a whole. I think we learn a lot about the individuals and who is going to be able to step up and carry them when they need it and win a matchup. And I'm really, really excited for this. I'm more excited for this game than I was for the 2 games that we saw tonight.
Okay. Justin, what you got?
Yeah, I think it's going to show us a lot about both teams, but I'll stay on the Michigan side. like against Wisconsin, I think majority of people that watch Michigan, their idea of how to beat them is really the only way is for you to knock down a ton of outside shots, right? And to make those bigs come out onto the perimeter and guard you from the 3-point line. Well, Nebraska has shooters everywhere. And so I think for Michigan, are they able to do that? And are they able to do it better than when they played against Wisconsin? Because if they're able to stop Nebraska, who loves to shoot threes, then I think that shows that Michigan is the full package. But I mean, I'm the same way. I mean, I can't wait to watch this one. 10.5 to me is a lot with a team that's undefeated, number 5 in the country. I don't care if it's at Michigan or not. But if Michigan's able to do that and guard the 3-point line, then I could see Michigan taking care of it pretty easily.
Tyler?
Yeah, I'm going to roll with Michigan, and I've been hyping up Nebraska a lot. I just think this is going to be a big challenge at Ann Arbor, and I think that Michigan's front court is going to possess a lot of problems for Nebraska. As good and smart as I think Nebraska is, and they've got a lot of guys who are veteran players, and I think I like their style just because they play smart basketball and everyone's really embraced their roles. I just think that Michigan's too big and too athletic, and they're on the road. We know that they have some history struggles on the road. I think if this game were at Nebraska, I would be much more optimistic. But I think Michigan wins, and unfortunately, I have a feeling that they may win big tomorrow.
Win big?
Yeah. I think I'm with you there. Yeah, T. I think that's Braden Frager's injury, dude. I think it matters. He's your second leading scorer. He's one of the few guys that can go off the bounce. And if Hoiberg alluded to them, he's still struggling. So I mean, guy sprained an ankle. They came back against Minnesota the other day, and they looked better in the last 25 minutes of that game. You're going on the road to a Michigan team. That place is going to be packed. Undefeated Nebraska coming in. I think it could be one where it gets away from the Cornhuskers, but we'll have to find out.
You know when else that building was packed? That building was packed on Saturday, January 10th.
They lost
when
Wisconsin
walked in there.
But can I give you a quick aside to that real quick? The game before that was Penn State. I don't know if you remember this. They not remember this part. They barely survived Penn State. But afterwards, I'm in the Peacock studio, and Nick Boyd comes on with the guys that are calling the game. So Boyd obviously doesn't know this, and they mentioned Michigan coming up. He's like, man, they look really good. And I forget who was it might have been Robbie. He's like, well, they barely beat Michigan tonight. They barely beat Penn State tonight. He's like, oh, okay, I think we're good. Like that was like the Rocky IV Drago cut moment. Like these guys are not infallible. They are not unbeatable. And you like literally saw the wheels turn in his head. They went and made 14, 15 threes in that game. And there you go. Like it obviously can happen. I think the difference is Michigan's coming in with a Nebraska team that's undefeated. They're tired of hearing about them. You may have your second leading scorer. And if they do play Johnson out more and they do switch everything and just say, screw it, you're going to have to drive the ball on us, then I think that might be the recipe to be like, this could be the end of things for the Cornhuskers.
Well, that's the one concern, right, is that Wisconsin has John Blackwell and Nick Boyd, and they're two big guys. I'm not even going to try to pronounce Alexis's name because I've butchered it twice already. I'm not going to disrespect him again by getting it wrong. But they got two big guys that could step out there and knock down threes. And then they made those threes, and that created space, and it allowed Nick Boyd and John Blackwell to get to the paint. And Nick Boyd made like 7 of those like running lefty layups off the top of the glass. You have no idea how he found the angle to get that to go in. And I don't know if Nebraska has those guys. So point taken. But I think we learned something about Nebraska there. I also think Nebraska is good enough defensively to give Michigan problems. And if you can force Michigan to have to not get into that press and not be able to make you take the ball out of the net, I think that you have an opportunity to be able to get to them a little bit better offensively. So 10.5 points for an undefeated team is crazy. I don't care what you guys say. It's 10.5 points. Give me 10.5 points. I'm not saying they're going to win. I'm saying they're going to keep it within single digits.
Well, that's why I'm really interested in where the money is. I've already looked. We'll look on BetMGM tomorrow. I want to know where the money is versus where the public is, because I can imagine the public is going to be heavily on the Cornhuskers. They're 5th in the country and they're getting 10.5. Give me that. The public's going that way.
Right. I might just be a fish. I might be a fish, Dalen.
You sound like one right now, but I don't know. We'll find out at 7 o'clock tomorrow. 7 o'clock tomorrow. All right, what's next, fellas?
All right, we'll keep in the Big Ten for our next preview. Purdue headed to Bloomington to take on Indiana. Any chance for the Hoosiers here?
Justin?
If Wilkerson has another 40-point game, I'll say there's a chance for the Hoosiers. I just think like Purdue losing 2 in a row. Now I will say Assembly Hall is the loudest place I ever played in college. And so that could very easily be a big time thing in this game. But with Purdue losing 2, I think this is a game where they come and they tighten things up and they kind of get things back on the tracks. So I don't envision Indiana really, I don't want to say having a chance, but I think Purdue goes in there and takes care of Indiana.
Rob?
It's scary. It's scary betting on they've lost 2 in a row now, right? And I'm not going to go full Randolph Childress here and say, come on, we got to go to the next game. I don't gave you the analysis. I don't gave you the information. I don't. I kind of think Indiana's going to find a way to hang with them. I think it's close to a make or break game for Indiana here, right? And they've lost 4 of their last 5. They won at Rutgers in their last game, but they lost their previous 4. And after this, they're heading on the road to the West Coast to go play at UCLA, who's been better, and at USC. And if they don't, they're not even like one of the next 4 out right now. They have to jump like 7 or 8 teams to be able to get to the NCAA tournament's cut line. Winning at home against Purdue would go a long way to doing that. And yeah, I mean, look at who they beaten, man. Like when they play good teams, they don't really compete with them. And I think that this is a chance for them to be able to make a statement and say that, hey, look, we're actually ready to go here. Like we actually have a team that wants to be in the NCAA tournament. So I think that they find a way to be able to give me the 4.5 at home. How about that? Give me Indiana plus 4.5 at home.
Okay. Tyler?
I was about to say, Rob, you're not talking like you truly believe what you're saying, man.
Yeah, I know. I talked myself out of it.
So here's where I'm at. I look at Purdue, and everyone had these expectations. They're a contender. They just lost 2 games in a row. They lost at UCLA, and then they lost against Illinois at home. And it took, pretty incredible game from Wagler. And then we know about the struggles it is to travel across the country, different time zone, go to UCLA, which is a team kind of underrated. And kind of really this win against Purdue put them on the map a little bit, gave them a little bit of noise. But I think Purdue gets it right. I think they're pissed off. I think they've had some tough practices. And I think they go back and they go to Indiana and they prove that they're the team that everyone thought they were. Even though it's a rivalry game, Indiana, Justin, they don't have Cody Zeller or Victor Oladipo coming through those doors. So I'm going to roll Purdue big.
I think that it's a good point, Tyler. The way they lost to UCLA too, it's completely uncharacteristic. I mean, turnovers late, just they fell apart late with one of the best point guards in the country throwing one of these turnovers. It was inexplicable. But they allow an 8-0 run and lose in regulation with less than a minute to go. They were up. So that's uncharacteristic. What they showed the other day, I think, is indicative problem they have, though, defending. I think they will be better in Indiana. Indiana will space you out. They're going to take a bunch of threes. They're going to put pressure on your defense that way. But Indiana's not been great at home. It is a tough place to play, but they haven't defended it quite well. They lost to Iowa by like 17. Nebraska came back, and when they were up big and came back and won that game kind of going away. So I think Purdue does get it right. I think it just trusts a little bit more in Painter in an established team, whereas Indiana kind of year one are trying to figure this thing out. So that's where I'm at. We still go. We preview anything else? We keep going here?
Yeah, we got one more. We're going to preview.
One more.
Kentucky headed to Nashville. Wildcats, winners of 5 in a row. Can they keep it rolling?
Tyler, you want to start that one?
Kentucky's back, T. Kentucky's back.
They are playing better. And listen, and everyone knows how I feel about Vanderbilt. I think they're a good team. I think they play hard, but I just think that they're lacking the size in their front court. I think that Kentucky's much bigger, and I think they're playing well. I think Kentucky wins at Vanderbilt. That's all I'm going to say on that. My feelings and emotions, I would love for Vanderbilt to get that dub. But
wait. Did you just say something good about Kentucky?
Hey, they're playing better. Hey, they're competing. They're playing better. They're big. So I don't believe in Vanderbilt either.
Hey, is it because Vanderbilt has no bigs? Is that what it is?
No, I like Jalen Washington. I think he's,
You're biased though. You're biased because they have no bigs that are not affiliated with the University of North Carolina. Is that what it is?
Could be. It's a big man's game.
Dauster, what you got?
It is. I mean, I think I actually agree with Tyler on this one. I've kind of been off the Vanderbilt bandwagon, and then they did lose 3 in a row. They got it back against Mississippi State, but Mississippi State's a team that plays a bunch of little guards and doesn't necessarily have the size and the length to kind of bother them. It's a weird place to play. I don't know if you guys have ever played. Did either of you, Justin or Tyler, play in Memorial Gymnasium in Nashville with like the benches at the end?
Yo, bro, I could have played there. The hell, Dauster? What was going on here? I could have played there. I didn't.
I'm sorry.
Come on.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry, Dalen.
By some high major teams. Come on now.
Yeah, the 6'3" power forward of the from the heyday of the Columbia Lions basketball program, right?
Okay, we're there. We are out there. We are in the 364 Division I teams. We're there. Go ahead.
No, I like Kentucky here, man. It's something flipped with this group, and I think it was as simple as they saw a crazy shot go in, and all of a sudden went from the level of belief was, how are we going to blow this game, to I think we have a chance to come back and win this game. I think it was just as simple as the vibes flipped within that locker room, and I don't. There's no analysis that comes with that. It's not like I feel like big brain theory is taking over here, but it feels different around that program now. There's a level of fight that you see from those guys on a possession by possession basis that is much different than what we saw in like the Gonzaga game or at the start of the Louisville game. So we'll see, but I think they get one of these two this week. They go on the road at Vanderbilt and at Arkansas. They're not winning at Arkansas with the emotions that are involved in that game. So I think they get it done at Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I love Tyler Tanner. I love watching him play. I think he's really, really good. Tyler Nickel, I mean, he's shooting unbelievable percentage. Kentucky's physicality, like to me, 6.5 is way too high. Like Kentucky's physicality, I think, is going to take Vanderbilt out of like the comfortable offense that they run. And then it's going to come down to who controls the paint. And I've been saying I think Vanderbilt's offense is awesome, but when you play, I like Jalen Washington, obviously UNC guy, but when he's y'all's tallest guy and he's more of a finesse guy, but you mainly play like a 6'7" guy at the 5 position, and you go up against a physical big Kentucky team like this, I think you're just overmatched, right? And I think that's just kind of where this game is going to go. I don't necessarily have the confidence in Kentucky to say that they're going to go in there and win. I think they might, but I would take plus 6.5 all day long. So I think Kentucky's just going to overmatch them. So I'll join y'all. I'll say Kentucky goes into Memorial Gymnasium and just whoops up on Vandy.
Whoops up.
Look at that. We really resolved this thing in something. Okay.
Whoops up.
You know, Rob's been coming out with some real hot takes today. I figured I'd go ahead and just, I'd be a little aggressive as well. So there we go. I think they go in there and whoop up on Vandy.
Those first takes be contagious. Yeah, you got to get yours in. If somebody's firing them off left and right, you feel like, well, I got to get one in now too. I think that what you saw when Florida went in there, to your point, Justin, they were the physicality of Florida's front line was a freaking problem, and they had no answer. And the guards played well enough in that game, and they got a win, a big win that I think that Todd and that group needed as they continue to kind of build in the right direction. Granted, they fell last past weekend. I like the 6.5. I don't think they necessarily win the game, but I think it's going to be a highly entertaining battle. And if Vanderbilt has enough tough physicality, enough toughness at home to win the game, if they don't, the tougher, more together team is going to win this game. And it seems like that usually with Arizona, the home team, But physically, Kentucky has the pieces. We'll see if they get it done. I think that's it for us, boys. We done?
Well, we got 2 more quick ones. Some fun ones for
Mother
us
of pearl. It's 12:16. All right, go ahead.
Quick. We'll be quick. Stormy Cyclone in the chat wants to know, because obviously we've all been stuck in weather for the last how many days. He wants to know, what is your favorite drink when you're snowed in? Is it the grapefruit IPA?
There you go.
It's not my favorite, but it's cold.
There you go. Justin, Tyler, you want to weigh in?
Yeah, I go bourbon. I go Stag Junior. If I'm in the house too long, it's a strong whiskey. It helps me, think and calm down a little bit. So I've been inside a lot. Plus, that whiskey tends to warm you up a little bit because it's so cold out. Stag Junior. I'll go Elijah Craig, barrel proof, straight, of course.
Okay.
Hey, y'all, I'll just stay at the kiddie table and I'll say hot chocolate, man. I mean, the fact that Rob said that he likes something cold when he snowed in, I think we need to start checking in on Rob and make sure he's good. But yeah, man, I don't.
Justin, last night when I went out and shoveled, I heard the plow go by at like 11:45, and I knew that meant that there was going to be like 4 feet of like the snow that gets pushed off the street at the bottom of my driveway. So I went out last night, and it was 9 degrees out here last night, and I went out there and I shoveled that entire layer of 4 foot of snow out there. And after I was done, I stood in my driveway and I drank an ice cold beer, and I admired my hard work.
Of course. Why not crack open an
I've
ice cold beer?
never felt better. I've never felt better in that moment in my entire life. When 9 degrees out, cold beer in my gloved hands, shovel in the other, looking at all the snow that I just moved out of my driveway. It was a glorious dad moment.
And we call him Psycho T. This is Psycho Rob, bro. This is unhealthy. That is insane behavior at 11:45, bro. How many beers deep were you?
Tape that for a motivational
that was probably
speech.
like 12:45 by the time I was done getting all that stuff out of the. I got to work. I was sweating too. It was hot.
Next time you coach, I want you to tell that story. No, I was outside of my driveway at 11:45, shoveling some snow.
I'm out there grinding with a 4 Loco in my hand.
You want it?
Turn off this screen, man. Get off this screen. Get on that loose ball. I was enjoying a couple drinks watching the United till Arsenal lost, and then my wife just got too antsy and just wanted to do too much sitting in. I just couldn't take it. I had to be policing too many kids, so I was just like, screw it, I'm going out and shovel. Went out and shoveled at 5 p.m. The inner monologue of resentment of me shoveling right there, boys, was astronomical. Just was furious at her that I was out there right then. Not a happy dude. And then I came in and continued to be unhappy dude. But anyway, there you go. What's the last
I get it too, man. I get in trouble when I go out to mow the lawn. It's like, look, our grass is like 18 inches tall right now. I got to mow the lawn. What do you mean you're mowing the lawn right now? You're not going to take care of the kid? No, I got to mow the lawn. What do you mean?
No. I was getting ish because I went out the night before. I went out in New York. My buddy was up here. Long story short, I was sitting on the couch too long. I had sat too long during the snowstorm. I had to do something productive, and I was not managing the 2-year-old that wanted to run like crazy. So I just said, all right, screw this. I'm going outside then. I'll just deuces. And then
2-year-olds can take care of themselves.
That's what I'm saying, man. He wasn't going far. He was sitting in his car in front of me. I'm like, I'm good. We're good. Yeah, he's doing great.
Go.
We ain't going anywhere. There's 18 inches of snow outside.
He's living the dream. Watching United beat Arsenal, like it doesn't get better than that.
He didn't ball? Yeah, shut up, Dace. We're losing. Anyway. All right, what's the last question?
All right. The final question from me. This one's going to go to Tyler specifically. So I'll preface this a little bit. So we have a new social segment. Shout out Trevor. 68 Seconds debuted today, I believe, with Norm Roberts. And Tyler has an interesting topic he wants to discuss on 68 Seconds here in the upcoming days, weeks, whatever it might be. But Tyler, my question for you is, if you could put Bigfoot on any team in college basketball to instantly make them better, what team are you picking?
Maybe Vanderbilt. You got to think that Bigfoot has some size. That would fix a lot of problems that they have. If not Vanderbilt, then I'd put them right with my Tar Heels. But, you know, we talked about Bigfoot, and I'm investigating this a little bit. And I used to think, you know, look at people who were Bigfoot believers as a bunch of weirdos. But someone broke it down to me that Bigfoot may live in a different frequency than we live. We live in one frequency, and Bigfoot can be a multi-frequency animal or creature that can vibrate in between frequencies. That's why we see him and disappear occasionally. So I'm investigating this. Maybe I'll do a 68 segment on it, and we can debate it a little bit.
Have you seen Interstellar, or are you just high a lot? What's going on here?
Unfortunately, I'm not. I'm sober.
Got it. Good. Check. Noted.
I'll leave all Bigfoot to my boy T. Hands.
All I was going to say is that Zach Edey was basically Bigfoot, and he was a 2-time National Player of the Year for Matt Painter. If you were the NIL agent representing Bigfoot and you did not send him to Purdue, I think you're not doing your job. I'm just telling you, Tyler. Bigfoot might average 30 and 15 at Purdue.
Hey, they've had their fair share. I mean, Zach Edey, we can't give him all that. I mean, he did enough for them. Spread the wealth a little bit.
We've jumped the shark. It's 12:22. Thank you for joining us on the Afters. Thank you for joining After the Dark on Field of 68. Sirius XM all season long. We're Rob, Tyler, Justin. I'm Dalen. We're out.